Hi everyone, welcome to S4 Sharanya Science classes. I hope you all are able to follow my videos. If it is really helpful for you, please support me by liking and sharing with your friends. If anybody still remind to subscribe my channel, then please subscribe it also.
Hi everyone, it's me Sharanya and you are watching S4 Sharanya Science classes. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about plant growth regulators or the phytohormones and their function. What do you mean by plant growth regulators? Plant growth regulators are the hormones which is actually determining the plant growth and development. You can see that the plant cannot move like animals. So their growth and development actually depending upon certain factors such as some internal factors and some external factors. External factors include light, temperature, day length, gravity, etc. And the internal factors that actually include some presence of chemicals. These chemicals are nothing but the plant growth regulators, or we can say that they are the phytohormones. These are the chemicals which actually regulate the plant growth and development. So we can simply say that the PGRS, that's actually plant growth regulators, are small simple chemical molecules which regulate the plant growth. According to their function, the plant growth regulators are two groups: plant growth promoters and plant growth inhibitors. So you can see that those hormones, those phytohormones which will give the promoting activities such as cell division, enlargement, tropic growth, pattern formation, flowering, fruiting, seed formation, all these processes are happening, the growth process are happening, then these hormones are actually included in plant growth promoters. The main examples are auxin, gibberellin and cytokinins. If that hormone is actually inhibiting the growth and development, that means they are actually inhibiting the activities they are promoting the inhibiting activities such as dormancy, abscission or aging. So they are categorized under plant growth inhibitors. You can see that there are main example abscisic acid and ethylene. We will go and learn about in detail. In classical times, there were only auxin, cytokinin, gibberellin, ethylene and abscisic acid. These are the classic phytohormones. Later, there were so many other hormones discovered such as brasinosteroids, salicylic acid, peptide hormones, etc., which is also considered as phytohormones. But today, we are only discussing about auxin, cytokinin, gibberellin, ethylene and abscisic acid. The first one, the auxin. Auxin, it is a Greek word which actually means to grow. These auxins actually first studied by Charles Darwin and his son Francis Darwin. They observed that in the coleoptile of canary grass respond the unilateral illumination by growing towards the sunlight. That means they will show phototropism, that shoot tip will bend towards the light. How this bending happened? They actually observed that and they concluded that the tip of that coleoptile, this is actually, the bending is actually caused by the entire coleoptile because of the presence of auxin. And this was isolated from oat seedling. This hormone auxin was isolated from oat seedling by F.W. Wendt. Actually, the first isolated auxin was from human urine. And you can see that auxins are produced by the growing tips, that means shoot apex and root apex, right? And from wherever they migrate to that, and from that region they will migrate to the growing region, other parts of their action. But it's actually produced in the tip, that means the shoot tip and the root tip. From there they will little by little diffused or migrate to the action sites, that means there the growth will occur. Or simply we can say that the auxins present at the growing tips such as root tip and shoot tip. If we are checking that what are the different types of auxins, there are natural auxins available and there are synthetically produced auxins. The natural auxins are chemically indole 3 acetic acid or IAA, we can say that. and another one indole butyric acid or the IBA. So these all are isolated from the plants itself. There are some synthetically produced auxins are available, that's actually NAA, naphthalene acetic acid, and 2,4-D, that's actually 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid. So these both are synthetic auxins, right. So these mostly used as a root initiator or the shoot initiator, you can see that in plants. The main function of auxins are actually, you can see that as I told before, they initiate the rooting in stem cutting so that they can ease the plant part for the stem propagation, you can see that, which can be very fastly occur. So this is actually used as a root initiating hormone in stem cuttings. And also these auxins, these totally we can say that it is a growth promoting hormone or it is a growth promoter. That means plant hormone, that means which is a growth promoting hormone. Here it can even promote the flowering process also. In pineapple and all, you can see that the auxin hormones is actually used for flowering process, and it also delay the fruit and leaf dropping, right, the dropping of that falling of the fruits and leaves, right, from the early stages, that will be prevented by the auxins hormone. And it can even promote the abscission of older leaves and fruits. That means that will be easily ripening of the fruit or that now flowering, you can see that the abscission of older leaves and fruit, that can also be promoted by the auxin. And it can even induce the parthenocarpy. What do you mean by parthenocarpy? The seedless fruit production, that's actually called a parthenocarpy. You can see that there are seedless grapes, seedless tomatoes, etc. That's also we can promote or we can produce by applying auxin hormones. These auxins can even used as a herbicide such as 2,4-D. It's actually used to kill dicot weeds, right. So it does not affect the monocot plants, it only affects the dicot plants, because monocot plants, you can see that if their tip is cut, right, so their lateral part will be easily grow, and dicot plant, if the tip is cut, and that will be killed very easily. So this actually, you can see that it is used to prepare weed free lawns, right. So here there is another very important phenomena is shown by auxin, that's actually it will promote the apical, it has that phenomena that's called apical dominance, that will that also we will discuss in the next slide. You can see that here the auxin can even control the silent differentiation, that means you can see that the cell differentiation, and it will help that cell division process. So it will activate the vascular cambium, right. So the activation of that vascular cambium is also done by the auxins. You can see in higher plants the growing apical bud, that will be inhibit the growth of the lateral buds. That's actually, that phenomena is called the apical dominance, that I already told you. The tip, the growing tip will inhibit the growth of the lateral buds, right, and that phenomena is known as the apical dominance. If you are removing, you can see that these are the actually here the auxin production will be, we already told that at the tip there will be more auxin production, that means they will have that more growth. Because of that the lateral buds will be inhibited from their growth, and that phenomena is known as the apical dominance, right. If you are removing the shoot tips, right, so which will result in the growth of the lateral bud, because the auxin will diffuse into the lateral part and that will be easily grow. And this is actually applied in the tree plantation and hedge making and all. That's actually they are smally, maybe you have seen that in the tea plantation and all, they will actually taking that apex of the plant, so that there will be so many lateral branches will be produced and will have more leaves, the tea leaves they can easily collect. So whenever they will grow, they will just cut these tea, that part of that tip of that, the apex of that plant, so that there will be more lateral leaves produced. Next plant hormone we are going to discuss about, that's actually the gibberellins, or we can say that gibberellins, both way you can pronounce it, right. So this is actually gibberellins is a acidic plant growth hormones. This is actually, you can see that how it is discovered, how the discovery of gibberellin happened. It's a very interesting story, you can see that. E. Kurosawa, that's a scientist's name, he treated the sterile filtrates of Gibberella fujikori, which is a fungi. It caused Beckane disease or the foolish seedling disease in rice. And he actually taken that sterile filtrate of Gibberella fujikori, and it's actually that extract actually given to a healthy rice plant. And after that he noted that after treating with that healthy rice seedling with the sterile filtrates of Gibberella fujikori, he noted that these healthy rice plants also showed the symptoms of Beckane disease. Beckane disease, otherwise known as the foolish seedling disease. Because of that, it's actually because of the active substance which is actually extracted from the Gibberella fujikori, and which induced this foolish seedling disease. And these substances were identified as gibberellic acid. You can see that these gibberellic acid, there are more than 100 varieties of gibberellins are there, like GA1, GA2, GA3, etc. And it can be extracted from fungi and higher plants too. These gibberellic acid actually, you can see that, or otherwise it is known as the terpenes, right. So it is one of the first discovered and most intensively studied gibberellin, that's actually the gibberellic acid, GA3 or terpenes. These are the main important gibberellin, which is actually one of the first discovered gibberellic acid and the intensive studied gibberellic acid, we can easily say that. Here the picture is given of that Beckane infection in the field, showing that elongation of that rice seedling and the stunning of that rice plants, right. So those who are having that, you can see that Beckane infection, right. So there will be the elongation of that seedling will occur, and in some, those who are not having that, they will have a stunted growth will also be there. So here you can see that the main functions of gibberellin is actually the elongation of the internode. So that means if you are applying the gibberellic acid in any plants, you can see that their elongate, that length will increase of that internodes, such as they will cause that increase in length of the axis, right, and it can used for increasing that length of the grape stalks. If these are the grape part, mostly the stalks must be lengthy, then only there will be more grapes will be produced. So for increasing the length of the grape stalks, we can use that gibberellic acid. And also it elongate and improve the shape of the fruits such as apple and all, so they will have a very desirable shape, right. And these gibberellic acid can delay the senescence, that means it can delay the aging process. So the fruits can be left on the tree to extend the market period. That means if there will be a ripening period of the fruit will be there, if you are treating that fruits with gibberellin or gibberellic acid, you can extend the market period. It will be on the tree as such, and when now there will be high profit period, they can take that fruits and they can easily sell it and they can earn a high profit. And GA3, you can see that it's actually used to speed up the malting process in brewing industry. That means malting process, it's actually the fermentation in that beer making industry. For that purpose also, you can see that the gibberellins are widely used. And another function of gibberellin, you can see that it's actually helping for the fruit development and seed germination, and it also used in the elongation of that sugar cane, right. In sugar cane, you can see that if you are spraying that gibberellin and all, it will increase the internode, right, length of the internode. That means the length of the stem will increase. By increasing the stem, there will be more sugar content in that stem, and because of that, there will be that yield of that sugar, right, from each that sugar cane, that will be increased very much. So that also one of the application of gibberellin. If you are spraying that gibberellin with gibberellin to juvenile conifers such as pines and all, then they will increase, they will fasten or hasten. You can see that it can be fastened, the rate of maturity period, that will be more fastened, and because of that they will get a early seed production, right. That's why I told you it will increase the fruit development and seed germination. It will promote the fruit development and seed germination. If you are spraying that gibberellin to that juvenile conifers and all, so because of that there will be early seed production will be there. So they will have that early yield and there will be a high profit also. It can be used for bolting purpose also. Bolting, it's actually, you can see that it's at that elongation of the internode just prior to flowering. That process is called the bolting. So that's mainly used in beetroot, cabbage and many other plants which is having rosette habitat. Rosette means it's actually, you can see that this is the formation of that, what will say, a bouquet like rosette habitat. In that you can see that just before the flowering, if you are spraying the gibberellin, then that will be helping for the bolting. That means their internode will be elongated. So these all are the main functions of gibberellins. The next hormone we are going to learn about, that is actually the cytokinin. Cytokinin, actually you can see that it's actually observed by the scientist known as F. Skoog and his co-workers, right, in the form of that internode segments of tobacco stems. In that you can see that there will be the callus, there will be the callus will be massively proliferated. That means there that the callus, which is the undifferentiated mass of tissues, that will be speedily grow if it is actually supplied with the medium, right, which is having the extract of vascular tissues, yeast extract and coconut milk or the DNA. If you are providing that into this tobacco stems, they will easily, that callus will be easily growing, they will proliferate their growth if you are providing with this extract of vascular tissue, yeast extract, coconut milk or DNA, etc. Right. And Skoog and Miller later identified that why these things is happening, because they identify and they have crystallized that active substance which is actually increasing the growth of the cell mass, tobacco stems, which is actually the substance, the chemical is kinetin, right. So these kinetins, actually you can see that mostly available cytokinin. So cytokinins were discovered as kinetin, right. You can see that, which is a which is actually discovered from a sperm, that herring sperm DNA से isolate किया था, which is the sterile herring sperm DNA from which the cytokines were identified or isolated, right. So these kinetin, you can see that they are not naturally occurring in plants, and plants, you can see that another form of cytokinins, the most abundant one, that's actually the zeatin, right. Zeatin is the a form of cytokinins which is available in corn kernels and the coconut milk, right, which is a naturally available cytokinin in plants, right. So you can see that there are some other synthetic compounds also which is actually helping for the cell division, promoting cell division and cell growth and all. So cell division promoting means obviously they will have that cell growth promoting. So cytokinins is also included in the growth promoter category itself, right. So naturally cytokinins are synthesized in the region of rapid cell division. That means wherever there will be more cell division will be there, that will be obviously the root tip and shoot tips, and also in bud stage, flowers, young fruits and shoot buds, like that you can see type of cytokinins. And what is the major function of cytokinins? Cytokinins, obviously from the name itself you can easily understand, it has a very important role in cytokinesis. Cytokinesis, that's actually that cytoplasm division, right. So that means cell division itself, and it has a very important role in that rapid growth and all, right. So they help in the production of new leaves and the chloroplast in leaves, and also the lateral shoot growth. For that also these cytokinins are helping, and again you can say that they will help in the formation of adventitious shoot, right. And these hormones, you can see that it's just opposite of that auxin, right. So you can see that auxin, it's not opposite, it's about resemble with that auxin. It also, you can see that, but one thing you have to remember, it's helping for that overcome the apical dominance, right. So that means it will help the production of more lateral branches or lateral growth. It will help the production of lateral leaves and all, right. So and it also helping for that mobilization of the nutrient, right. That's actually they will promote the nutrient mobilization, and because of that it will help in the delaying of the senescence, right. So senescence aging, it will delay the aging process, right. And these cytokinesis also help in that opening of stomata, right, and also cell differentiation. The last type of, not last, the second last type of hormone we are going to learn, which is the only gaseous hormone available, that's actually the ethylene, right. So you can see that the Cousins, right, they confirmed, the scientists confirmed that the release of a volatile means the gaseous substance from ripened orange that actually make fasten the ripening of the stored banana, right. So later they identified that as a volatile substance or the gaseous hormone as ethylene, right. So this ethylene is actually the only gaseous hormone present, that's actually gaseous phytohormone, which is actually helping for that ripening process, right. So they Cousin is that Cousin is the scientist who actually identified, right. So confirmed there will be a substance, volatile substance, which is actually released from that ripened orange, which help that ripening process of the banana, right, when they kept it together, right. So from this they understood that there is something substance volatile which is actually the gaseous substance, and later it is identified as ethylene, right. So these ethylene can be synthesized in large amount by tissues when it undergoing senescence and ripening fruit. Obviously you can see that the ripening of fruit means there will be aging. Once it will attain the maturity, then only the ripening fruit will be there. So this is actually promoting aging or senescence, or you can say that it will promote abscission of the plant also, right. So this is actually, you can see that which is very this ethylene hormone, it influences the horizontal growth of the seedling. You can see that if this is the seedling, right, and their horizontal growth, right, so of the seedling is actually, you can see that sidewise growth, the horizontal growth of that seedling, it's actually influenced by the ethylene hormone. And even you can see that the swelling of the axis and the apical hook formation in the dicot seedlings, you can see that whether the growth, horizontal growth for that you can see that seedlings and all, that will be by this ethylene hormone. And also you can see that in dicot plants and also there will be apical hook formation, that's also by the ethylene hormone. These ethylene hormone, it's actually promoting the senescence or the aging and even abscission of plant organs, especially the leaves and flowers, right. So here another phenomena is that you can see that the leaf epinasty, that's actually the drooping of leaves, also caused by the ethylene hormone. Even ethylene promote the fruit ripening. Fruit ripening, I already told you, the fruit ripening, everything will occur when the plant will become mature. So that means it will help for the senescence or aging, right. So it enhance the respiration rate, more respiration rate, so that means the fruits or anything, they need more energy, so that way they are ripening, right, the process of ripening. So there will be, you can see that more respiration rate during the fruit ripening time. So this is actually because of the process of ethylene hormone, their effect, you can see that there will be high respiration rate. So because of this, these ethylene is called as respiratory climatic. And these ethylene can have that capacity to break that seed and bud dominancy, break करने के लिए भी these ethylene have that special capacity. And these ethylene can even initiate the germination in peanut seeds, sprouting of potato tubers. These all actually, you can see that the germination of that potato tubers and the peanut seeds ki seed germination, these all will be actually caused by the ethylene hormone. So that means we can say that these ethylene hormone breaks the seeds and bud dominancy. It can even initiate the germination in peanut seeds and sprouting of potato tubers, etc. The main function of ethylene, we are discussing the other things. It will also promote the rapid internode and petiole elongation. That means you can see that whether that internode elongation, right, and also the petioles, that entire petiole of the leaf elongation is actually caused by ethylene, right, mainly in the deep water rice plants. If it is deep water rice plants, if this internode or the petiole is not properly elongated, that plant will become under the water and it can even die. So these ethylene hormone, if you are spraying the ethylene hormone and all, these will promote that rapid internode and petiole elongation, and the plants can be survived in that condition too. So that's why it helps the leaves and that of our upper parts of the shoot to remain above the water. So because of the elongation of their internode and all, these plant parts will remain above the water, and it can be survived in that condition too. And this ethylene even help the promotion of the root growth and root hair formation also. It actually, once the more root hairs will form, then obviously the increase that absorption capacity, water or mineral absorption capacity will be increased, and that can be very helpful for the plant, right. So these ethylene can even used as to initiate the flowering, right, and also the synchronization of fruit set in pineapple. That means at the same time the flowering will occur, initiate flowering, and for the synchronization of fruit set in pineapples also. And these ethylene can even induce the flowering in mango, right. If you are spraying that ethylene in mango tree, it can even induce the flowering process, right. So, and these ethylene hormone, it's actually very widely used in agriculture purpose for different activities, right. So you can see that the most widely used source of ethylene is actually ethifone. We can see that this is the actually commonly used in agriculture purpose and all, that's actually called ethifone, right. So these ethifone is an aqueous solution, and it can be directly used, it's a solution, so that's why it can be readily absorbed by the plant parts, and it can be very easily diffused into the plant body, right. And because of the process, this ethifone, it will fast up the fruit ripening in tomatoes, apple, and even accelerate the abscission in flowers and fruits. That means you can see that cherry, cotton, walnut, etc. It will even accelerate the abscission of the flowers and fruits also, right. These ethylene or the ethifone, you can see that it will even promote the female flowers in cucumbers. So that's why more female flowers, then more yield will be there, because these, you know that the female flowers will be converted into the fruits. So these all are the main function of ethylene. The last hormone we are going to discuss here, that's actually the abscisic acid. You can see that there were 3 type of abscisic acid reported in the mid age of 1960s. They were inhibitor B and abscissin 2 and domin, right. So they all are chemically identical, and they are known as the simple abscisic acid itself. Shortly we can say that it is ABA or abscisic acid. It's actually a derivative of carotenoids, which is that orange red color pigment, and it is regulating that dormancy of that seeds and plants. You can see that the main function of abscisic acid is actually, it is a plant growth inhibiting hormone, or we can say that it is actually an inhibitor, right. So you can see that it is actually acting as an inhibitor in plant growth and metabolism. It will inhibit the seed germination, that means it will promote the seed dominancy, right, and it can even induce or stimulate the closure of stomata. You can see that in the epidermis, the closure of stomata and the seed dominancy, everything, you can see that these all are the inhibiting activity. So that's why we are telling these hormones are plant growth inhibitors. It can even increase the tolerance of the plants to various kinds of stress. So it is actually helping the plants to survive in extreme climatic condition and all. So it can also called as a stress hormone. Even human being, there is adrenaline, the same way in plants you can see that the abscisic acid will act. It has very important role in seed development, maturation and dormancy. I already told you that. Seed dominancy actually by the abscisic acid, it will help that the plant withstand the desiccation and other unfavorable climatic condition and all, withstand that, and whenever there will be favorable condition, these will be, the abscisic acid level will be reduced, and it can survive that extreme climatic condition. So that's why these abscisic acid is also considered as a stress hormone in plants. So here we have finished that all the plant hormones and their functions. I hope you have a clear idea about this part. Thank you.
Hope you all understood this video. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.